The stately halls of Wexley Conservatory echoed with the quiet chaos of 100 ambitions. Students streamed past with violin cases and worn satchels, the air perfumed by a constant hum of practice scales and academic tension. Among them moved Clara Bennett, the newest administrative assistant, unassuming and nearly invisible in her sensible flats and soft navy cardigan. At 38, Clara had mastered the art of blending in. Her chestnut hair, pulled into a modest braid, and her quiet, composed manner allowed her to pass through the conservatory's grand corridors like a shadow. She greeted people with polite nods, took her lunch alone, and filed her papers so precisely that no one ever had reason to linger near her desk. "Miss Bennett," snapped the voice of Dr. Miriam Voss, head of piano studies, as she emerged from her office with her usual air of exhausted authority. "These sonatas are in chronological order. I asked for them by composer." Clara smiled apologetically and reached for the stack. "Of course, Dr. Voss. I'll fix them right away." Without a thank you, Voss turned on her heel and strode down the corridor, her heels striking the marble floor with military precision. Clara watched her go, the faintest curve of a smile tugging at her lips. She adjusted the music, her fingers pausing momentarily over a notoriously difficult Liszt transcription. Her fingertips twitched involuntarily, a long silent echo stirred awake. It had been 5 years since she last played in public. 5 years since she'd let her identity dissolve in favor of peace. Lost in thought again, Miss Bennett, came the amused drawl of Professor Lionel Hargraves, the conservatory's silver-haired authority on romantic composition. His bow tie sat slightly askew, as usual, and his wire-framed glasses magnified the curiosity in his eyes. "Just organizing, Professor," Clara replied smoothly, slipping the sheets into the proper order. He gave a little hum and lingered a moment longer. "You arrange music like someone who understands it. Strange, for a woman who claims no musical training." "I've picked up a few things since I started," she said lightly. Indeed, his tone was more skeptical than admiring. "But understanding Liszt requires more than just alphabetizing notes. It requires discipline, interpretation, pedigree." "I wouldn't presume otherwise, sir," Clara replied, her voice even. Hargraves huffed and walked off, muttering something about standards. Clara exhaled, the same way she always did after one of these encounters, like releasing a breath held in too long. Later that day, she found herself in the office of Madame Colette Marchand, the revered, exacting French performance coach known for her discerning ear and fearsome red pen. At 65, she sat with regal poise, her posture faultless and her silver bun flawless. "Infant," Madame Marchand said without looking up, "you've arrived. These program notes are appalling. Redo them for tomorrow's competition. And this time no errors." Clara accepted the marked-up documents, noticing that the single error Madame had ranted about last week, a misplaced accent, had, in fact, been her own. But Clara didn't point it out. She never did. "I'll be thorough," she promised instead. As she turned to leave, her eyes flicked toward the open score on Madame's piano list transcription of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. "Is this for the scholarship recital?" she asked before she could stop herself. Madame Marchand raised an arched brow. "Oui, Gregory Reyes will perform it." Clara hesitated. "That's quite the challenge for a student." "Gregory is our best pianist," Madame said curtly. "And challenge is necessary for growth." "I didn't mean—" "I know what you meant, Miss Bennett," Madame said with a dismissive wave. "Do not overstep." The morning of the scholarship competition arrived cloaked in nervous anticipation. Donors gathered in the lobby, sipping espresso and murmuring in curated tones, while anxious students paced or secluded themselves in practice rooms. The Wexley Scholarship was no small thing. It meant full tuition, prestige, and future invitations to elite stages. Clara arrived early, her cardigan exchanged for a modest navy dress, her braid neatly redone. She handed freshly printed programs to Professor Hargraves, who barely glanced at her before barking, "Backstage. Help the students." Backstage was controlled chaos. Clara moved among them with quiet efficiency, offering tissues to one, water to another. When she spotted Gregory Reyes sitting pale and rigid near the wings, she approached gently. "Are you all right?" she asked. He looked up, eyes wide and unseeing. "Two think so. You're playing the list?" she asked softly. He gave a jerky nod. "I practiced. A lot. But my fingers, they're not listening today." She sat beside him and glanced at the open score. "You're rushing the second sequence. It's not meant to be thunder, more like waves building." Gregory stared at her. "How? How do you know that?" Clara caught herself. "I believe Madame Marchand mentioned it once." Before he could ask more, Dr. Voss appeared with a clipboard. "Mr. Reyes, you're opening the program. Miss Bennett, stay out of the way." Clara retreated to the green room. Over the intercom, Dr. Voss welcomed the guests and introduced the program. Gregory performed first. He made it through, but the emotion was missing. He followed Clara's advice on the difficult passage, managing it better, but the magic was absent. The applause was respectful, not rapturous. As the competition continued, Clara remained backstage, helping where she could, listening carefully. Her trained ear, though no one knew it was trained, picked up the smallest inconsistencies, the bold risks, the failures of nerve. During intermission, Madame Marchand appeared flustered. "Miss Bennett, bring water to the judges discreetly." Clara did as told. As she placed the glasses, she overheard Dr. Voss muttering, "Palmer misread the list completely. Too restrained." "Marchand's influence," Hargraves replied. "All feeling, no discipline." Clara turned to leave, but Hargraves spotted her. "Miss Bennett, your thoughts on Mr. Reyes's performance?" "It was a trap, meant to humiliate." She hesitated. "He played technically well, but the heart of the piece was missing." Dr. Voss scoffed. "And you would know?" Clara lowered her gaze. "Forgive me. I overstepped." As she returned backstage, she missed the curious glance Madame Marchand shot after her. Then the disaster hit. Gregory Reyes sat shaking, his hands numb. "I can't feel my fingers," he gasped. "I think I'm having a panic attack." Madame Marchand crouched beside him. Dr. Voss was already fuming. "We have no backup," Hargraves muttered. "No one else can play that piece." Clara stepped forward. "I can." 3 heads turned. "Don't be ridiculous," Voss snapped. Clara stood firm. "Let me try." "You're a secretary," Hargraves barked. "No," Clara said calmly. "I'm a pianist." Madame Marchand studied her. "You lied." "I never said I couldn't play," Clara replied. "Even if you've played before," Voss hissed, "this piece is impossible." "I know the piece." There was a beat of silence. "Very well," Voss said coldly. "You'll go out. If you embarrass us, you're fired." Clara nodded once. Hargraves shoved the sheet music at her. "Try not to make a fool of yourself." "I won't need this," Clara said. Then she walked onto the stage. The applause was hesitant. Faculty forced smiles. Madame Marchand watched like a hawk. Clara sat, adjusted the bench, placed her fingers on the keys. Then she played. The first chords exploded like cannon fire. Audience members flinched, then froze. What followed was not merely a performance. It was resurrection. Every note Clara played told a story not just of Beethoven or Liszt, but of pain, loss, and recovery. Her fingers danced across the keys with ferocity and grace, weaving emotion and discipline into a tapestry no one could look away from. Whispers rippled through the audience. "It's her, Clara Bennett. She's Clara Bowen." The name traveled like wildfire. Clara Bowen. The Clara Bowen. The reclusive virtuoso who vanished after a car crash shattered her hand years ago. The prodigy who'd played at Carnegie Hall before turning 25. On stage, Clara didn't hear them. She was inside the music. The years of silence, the pain, the therapy, it all culminated in this moment. When the final chord fell, there was silence. Then eruption. The ovation was deafening. People wept. Faculty stared, dumbfounded. Even Dr. Voss clapped, albeit with a dazed expression. Clara bowed once, twice, then stepped back. Dr. Voss took the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, Clara Bowen gasps. I came here to remember who I was, Clara said, her voice steady. Not as a performer, but as someone who loves music. I didn't intend to reveal myself. But perhaps today, the music decided for me. From the crowd, a distinguished gentleman stood. Ms. Bowen, I'm Franklin Ames of the Wexley Foundation. Would you consider returning as artist in residence? Before Clara could answer, Madame Marchand stepped forward, clasping her hands. It would be our honor. Hargraves stammered out an apology. You never looked, Clara replied gently. You saw what you expected. Later, backstage, Gregory approached. Will you teach me? He asked, eyes wide. Clara smiled. Only if you promise to play for the right reasons. A month later, the nameplate on her new office door read, Clara Bowen, artist in residence. And for the first time in 5 years, she was home.